Good morning, everyone. This is Gail Dudley with your News in Motion. How are you on this Monday morning? Y'all, it's Monday already. It's Monday already. Come on in the room, people. Let me know that you're in here. I'm so excited about today and about what we're going to be covering because we're dealing with a serious topic today after I go through a few of our headlines. So just jump on in here, whether you're coming in from Facebook or if you're coming in from YouTube or any of the platforms. I want to say, if you're with me live, good morning. If you're with me watching the replay, depending upon what area you're in, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm just glad that you're here. And I see all of you coming in here this morning, so that's exciting. So come on in the room, y'all. Listen, we're going to be going deep today. So if you know anybody who is in the middle or dealing or coming out of domestic violence, you want to hit this share button and tell them to come on over because I have a guest on here with me today, and we're going to be talking about domestic violence this month, along with other awareness. But today I'm focusing on domestic violence awareness. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Again, I know there's other awareness this month, but today I want to deal with Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So if you know anybody who is dealing with domestic violence, you want to have them tune in to this segment this morning, or encourage them to watch the replay at their private time whenever and however they can. So I want to say good morning to all of you as you are coming in here on this morning. Before I get into the news today, I first want to say thank you. I am still in shock. I'm still somewhat overwhelmed. But the reason I am saying thank you this morning is because I learned on late Saturday that my book, Urgent Plea for Prayer, has sold out everywhere. It has sold out everywhere. Many of you know that October, this is the fourth year I've been doing the annual Urgent Plea for Prayer, which is a 31-day prayer devotional, and it's about intentional prayer. So if you're following me on Facebook or on Instagram, you will see that I'm making daily posts. We have over 3,000 people around this world who has joined us in praying over the next 31 days. And I did a YouTube video yesterday to tell you why I am doing that. But real quickly, I'm doing it because, number one, this is the third quarter. And when I was doing my research for this particular book back in 2015, 2016, I learned that so many people become discouraged in this last quarter. And there's three different reasons. One of the reasons is due to the fact of the goals that they set out to do early in the year, back in January, and they look back and they see they haven't really met any of those goals. And so they become depressed, they become oppressed. But here's what I want to stress during this 31 days of prayer is that God didn't want you on that journey in the first place. He had a specific journey for you. And so we just have to pray for that person to realize the manifestation of God. So that's number one. Number two is because this leads us into Thanksgiving and Christmas and other religious holidays. And it really does oppress people, especially if they're lonely, or if their parents have passed on, or they're the only child, or they have no siblings, or they're not married, or they're unable to have children. The month of October becomes a month of what people call darkness to some degree. So I wanted to kick off this urgent plea for prayer in 31 days. Again, this is the fourth year of my doing it. And then number three is because so many people are lacking this time of year. And so when we did the research, and I'm so grateful to my editor, Kathy Curtis out of Tampa, Florida, who helped me with this project back in 2015 and 2016. So y'all, I just want to say thank you. The book is sold out. It is out of stock everywhere. When my sister texted me looking for the book for a friend of hers, I was like, oh, she's crazy. And so I just went on and looked. I said, oh my gosh, it says it's out of stock. So I went over to Barnes & Noble. I went over to Walgreens. I went over to Walmart. I went over to Target, and everywhere the book is out of stock. It is sold out. And then I go, because I have a portal where I can go and look in Ingram, and Ingram is like, we've been trying to reach you, let you know, to tell your customer base that this book is out of stock, but we're doing our best to get it out there. So y'all listen, I've never known what that felt like. And without trying to be emotional on Monday morning, I'm still in shock. My husband will tell you I went downstairs very calmly and said, my book, Urgent Plea for Prayer, is out of stock. Y'all know I have 14 books. I've never experienced a book being out of stock. And he laughed at me. I said, why are you laughing? He said, most people would have been screaming, running down the house, running down the stairs, running around the house. He goes, and you're just like, I said, I think I'm just in shock. I said, I never know what this has felt like before. So if you were one of the people who purchased the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Books A Million or wherever, I just want to say thank you. I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock. And of course, I have a PR daughter who's like saying, Mom, you got to do this. And I'm like, I don't even want to do any of those things. I don't even know how to do it in the first place. I'm still in shock. So, it's not the bestseller. It's nothing like that. It's probably not even the best written book. But here's what I know. I can introduce you to Jesus all day long. I can do that. And that's what my books are about. And that's how I go about doing it. So if you're still looking for it on Amazon, you can download it on Kindle. That's still available. Amazon and Barnes & Noble are saying they're doing everything they can to try to get the book back in this week. So if you're still looking for it, it's there. I just wanted to take this time to say thank you. All right, y'all. Today is Monday, October the 4th, 2021. And it's time for the weekend recap. And again, I have a very special guest who's going to be hanging out with me this morning. So if you know anyone who has experienced or is currently experiencing domestic violence, this month is Domestic Violence Month. I know it's other months as well, but today I'm dealing with Domestic Violence Month. I have a guest who's going to be joining me in just a few moments, y'all. So I am your host, Gail Dudley. Whether you're watching it live or the replay, I'm just so glad you decided to take some of your day to hang out with me. So y'all, let's do what we do. Let's get this party started. So as we do, now that football season is back in place, I wanted to put some things out there. Y'all, so our first headlines are the football scores from Sunday. We have Ravens 23 who beat out the Broncos with 7 points. We have the Packers who won with 27 against the Steelers. What's going on with the Steeler Nation who had a score of 17? Latrice Jones, you won here. Fred Jones, you won here. Tell me what's going on with the Steelers. We have the Cowboys. How about them boys? They beat out the Panthers 36-28. We had the Buccaneers over the Patriots 19-17. And we had them Cleveland Browns. Hello, Browns. 14 over Vikings of 7. Y'all, the Raiders and the Chargers will play tonight. That's what's happening. In other news, Congress avoided a government shutdown on Thursday night. It's only a temporary fix. If you go to my IG, I give a whole layout of what I think about this government temporary fix. President Biden signed a short-term appropriation bill that will keep the government running through December the 3rd. I don't get it. Can we stop temporarily fixing things and just fix the system? How about that? Y'all, 65-35 was a vote in the Senate, so 15 GOP voted along with the Democrats. The House voted 254-175 with 34 Republicans supporting. But lawmakers still need to raise or suspend the debt ceiling before October the 18th. So we're still playing this money game. They're still on this this roller coaster to prevent a possible default of the U.S. debt that would result in job losses, economic damage, and a drop in the stock market. Now, Speaker Pelosi did not take a vote on the infrastructure bill on Thursday, as she had said to. Why? Because it crumbled. It crumbled. You really did have the progressives holding the line. They were joined by some other Republicans holding the line. Pelosi knew, I can't do this, so she did not vote. Now they mad at her, but whatever. But now we got the Department of Transportation employees who were set to go into furlough, but the 3,700 workers will return to work today after Congress on Saturday passed a short-term highway funding. I'm sick of this short-term and temporary fix, people. Let's do something. Stop playing politics and take care of your constituents. We're the ones who voted you in there. Even if we did not particularly vote for you, you're in there and we're paying your bill. So get to work. Stop playing around and get to work. Now, y'all, we had the feuding Dems were sent to the principal's office on this weekend. Yep, Rutgers is reporting in a rare visit to the U.S. Capitol. President Joe Biden tried on Friday to end a fight between the moderates and the progressives because it's a cat fight. They brawling within our own caucus. Now, the Democrat Party that has threatened to dismantle his domestic agenda. And he went in there like, y'all know Joe probably cussed. Y'all know he drops the F-bomb in a moment. He probably went and said, what's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with you? You probably in your spot because I'm in this spot. Now, we ain't about to have this fight. I can hear Joe right now. And he probably had that good old smile, but he was probably cussing them out between them beautiful teeth that he got up front. He was like, now listen, now we ain't having this up in here. So, yep, that's what's happening. He went over there. They went to the principal's office. He spoke with them for 40 minutes. And this is what he said, and I quote, because I got the quote. He said, it doesn't matter whether it's 6 minutes, 6 days, or 6 weeks. We're going to get this done. Got it? Yep, he did, y'all. He said it just like that. You know, Joe, he just sits there in his chair like, Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if it's going to be the next 6 minutes, the next 6 days, or the next 6 weeks. We're going to get this done. Got it? Y'all know he probably went up there like mafia style. Don't want to say it, but I did. So y'all, what else is happening? The Treasury Department estimates that it has until October the 18th for the government's $28.4 trillion, that's with the T, borrowing limit to be raised by Congress or risk a debt default with potentially catastrophic economic consequences. We already dealing with containers can't get over here. We already have a Christmas rush in October. Now y'all trying to mess with the economic debt ceiling? Y'all, what y'all want us to do? Crumble over or what? Let's get to work in there. Y'all, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? I believe your constituents can do way more than what you're doing in there right now. We got to get this together, y'all. Let me see what y'all talking about. I see y'all in here saying, News in Motion family, good morning. Colts first win. Thank you, Kimberly Grace, for that. I see y'all in here. How about them boys? Yep, just fix it, Kim Edmondson. I agree with you. Yes, thank you. Yes, the book sold out on all platforms. Let's see. I thought she was about to let it slip. Listen, I was almost there, Kim Edmondson. Pastor Ness says they are fighting against one another. They are, and it's ridiculous. There's no need to fight against one another. There's no need. All right, y'all, so now you know about what's happening in Congress. Now, help me understand this, somebody. What does this mean? NBC News is reporting that former Trump political appointees gathered at a GOP social club on Wednesday night to hear from Steve Bannon detail, now follow me, y'all, how they could help the next Republican president reconfigure government. What y'all talking about? Well, what y'all doing? We have a constitution. How you going to reconfigure government? But listen, he doesn't stop. Here's a direct quote from Steve Bannon that he told NBC News. He said, if you're going to take over the administrative state and deconstruct it, then you have to have shock troops prepared to take over immediately. What? Didn't y'all try that on January the 6th? Didn't y'all kill some people on January the 6th? Didn't y'all damage some people on January 6th? Weren't you threatening people on January 6th? Didn't you have a noose out on the ground for former Vice President Pence on January the 6th? What you talking about, Steve? Y'all, this is what they said. Yeah, Adrian, Bannon is dangerous. Again, his direct quote to NBC News. If you're going to take over the administrative state and deconstruct it, then you have to have shock troops prepared to take it over immediately. Say, what? Yeah. And then during this interview that he had with NBC News, he also said, I gave them fire and brimstone. What, you had a church meeting? You had a black church giving fire and brimstone. What is this about? Let's see. John Gore says, Steve, he is crazy. Hester says, yep, January 6th, what's next? Nawanda says, see, they done lost their mind. I think they have. Pastor Ness says, they need to take their I can't say that, to an uninhibited land and start their own crappy government. Something, but y'all, that's happening. Y'all, we need to stay woke. All right, y'all, 700,000 We have surpassed that number, 700,000. 100,000 of those deaths from COVID in the U.S. occurred when vaccines, which overwhelmingly prevented deaths, slow down, Gail, deaths, hospitalizations, and serious illnesses were available to any American over the age of 12. Yet 100,000 of those 700,000 deaths occurred during the time of vaccines, and the people who died, except for, they said, less than 1%, which, I'm not a math person, and that's still, I cannot figure that out. How can you be a person less, how can you be people less than a 1%? I don't get it. I'm not a mathematician, so let me not try to work it out here on the air. But if somebody can tell me this later, I would love to know, because I'm really confused. Was it a half a person? I don't get it. But anyway, they're saying, except for the less than 1% of the 100,000 who passed, all the rest of them were not vaccinated. So I'm gonna leave that there. Okay. A recent survey from Kaiser Family Foundation reported that 20% of rural residents said they would definitely not get a vaccine, compared to just 7% of urban and 14% of suburban residents. So that's what's happening. Well, y'all, just how serious is the Delta variant? The Associated Press, that's AP, is reporting with a country of 5 million, New Zealand reported only 27 deaths. Y'all remember, that prime minister is the bomb, Prime Minister Ardern. And she, when one case flared, she was like, shut down. We're going to shut this back down. She didn't play. She didn't care what anybody thought. You're going to wear a mask if you go out your house. See, she didn't play. You need a sister in charge. I keep telling you, I need a sister in charge, because women ain't going to play with you. No, I said what I said. Get in your house, lock your doors, get the food you need. You come out when I say you can come out. That's how she contained it. Yet the Delta variant broke through in New Zealand. Now they have more than 1,300 cases. Still not as big as other countries. And she says with 29 detected just this past Monday. About 65% of New Zealanders have had at least one dose, and 40 are fully vaccinated. They just really start rolling out. They're slowly rolling out the vaccine. And already this is what they have within a slow rollout. Among people 12 and older, about 79% have had at least one single jab in the arm. That ain't bad. 79%. Come on, y'all. Yep, y'all, 60 Minutes. One word. Wow. I'm going to just say wow. Last night in the interview on 60 Minutes, the source of those leaks revealed herself. This is the leaks of Facebook. Former Facebook product manager Frances Hogan, who worked for almost 2 years on Facebook's civic misinformation team before leaving in May, says she became increasingly concerned that the company was prioritizing engagement over user safety and well-being. I can attest to that. Y'all, I took off the month of August and my algorithm was pretty high. I took off the month of August and my algorithm plummeted. Like I'm still trying to build my algorithm back up. So they are more important, with engagement over user safety and well-being. Two of her accusations has made big waves. Number one, that Facebook contributed to the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol by allowing the spread of misinformation. And number two, that it knew Instagram was harmful to teens' mental health, but it didn't take action. Let me see what y'all saying up in here. Pastor Ned spoke with one of the pastors from India, and he said they were still on lockdown. Okay, Latrice says, remember when Facebook censored me? I remember that, Latrice, when your son even gave it was good, and they still censored you. Kenya says, unfortunately, because the U.S. is so politically driven, we probably won't have another shutdown. I believe you're right there, too. All right, y'all, back to Facebook. Hogan sent these documents, 10,000s of pages worth to Wall Street Journal, which published a series of investigations called the Facebook Files. All you got to do is go out there and Google it. I'm going to tell you now, if you go to Wall Street Journal, they're going to want you to pay. Yeah, they're going to want you to pay $9 just to read that one article. And y'all get funny with me about Patreon. That's $15 for the entire month. And you get content over and over and over again. I'll leave that alone. So she sent them to the Securities and Exchange Commission. That's the SEC. And her lawyers have filed at least 8 complaints that allege Facebook misled investors. Wow. All right, y'all, real quick. The Supreme Court is back. What's on the table? Abortion, gun regulations, and religious expressions. And finally, before I bring on my guest today, that's why I'm going through this so fast. For the heck of it, I just want to tell you that Americans check their phones on an average of 96 times a day. And that's Fox 5 reporting. New research shows that the U.S. is deep into the digital age, with data showing Americans check their phones 96 times a day. I'm going to have to try that out today because I don't think that's true for me, but that's on the average. That's once every 10 minutes, according to a global tech care company, Assurion. So there you have it. There you have it. Those are the headlines from the weekend. And I want to bring on to you to this morning. You saw her on Thursday when she was cutting up on the panel. But today she's here on a serious note. Again, if you know anybody who's in the middle of dealing with domestic violence or they're coming through domestic violence, you want to tell them to come and join. If they're unable to join it right now because of privacy reasons or for their safety, just let them know they can tune in, and we're going to give you a hotline that we're going to share with you as well. I know this month represents more than domestic violence, but today I want to deal with domestic violence. So I want to welcome Nawanda Turner. She wears many hats. She is a healthcare IT contractor, focused entrepreneur, and as of late, an inspirational encourager to those who are starting their wellness journey. She is also the mother of her two adult children, Simone and Carl, and Yaya, her baby granddaughter. In 2016, she left full-time corporate healthcare and went into consulting to offer her services and assist healthcare organizations implementing electronic medical record systems. It was also at this time that her life drastically changed because she found the strength to remove herself from an abusive marriage of over 20 years. Her journey had been up and down, but she embraces all the changes and knows she'll be better in the end. Y'all, I am not going to rush this, so if we go over, we happen to go over, but she's going to come on. I'm going to ask her a few questions, and she's going to share her story. She's also making herself available that if anyone needs to speak with her, they can, and she will give that personal information in inbox messages, or you can go through News in Motion to get her information because we want to keep all of this secure. So welcome, Nawanda. Welcome, sister. Hey, good morning to you, beautiful.
Good morning.
You doing good today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here to share with us a topic that is difficult for so many. I have a close family member who experienced this, and time again, it would get like so frustrating where I can remember saying at one point, well, I'm gonna just go take him out. And it was just horrible. And I didn't. Right. And she's now safe. She found the strength to leave, and she's now safe. So I want to get right in, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And again, thank you for your vulnerability to come and to share with us today. So I want to start with this question, and everyone, I just want you to know that she and I discussed these questions. So these are questions that she has given me permission to ask. So we're going to start with the first question. When did you first recognize you were being abused?
You know, here's the crazy thing. I think when you're in it, you don't really recognize it until you look back and you see like, oh, well, there was the place where I should have been like, So now being out of it, when I was pregnant with Simone, my oldest, I had to go to the hospital because my pregnancies were not very kind to me. I was not one of the women who, glowed during pregnancy. Me in pregnancy, we fought like it was not okay. So I was in and out of the hospital on many times. I'm gonna take my glass off, so I'm getting the glare in the light. Okay, that's better for me. So hopefully nobody asked a question on screen because I ain't gonna be able to see y'all. Okay. So for me, I had went to the hospital because I was just having problems because I had ovarian cysts at the same time. And he was so upset about, at this moment, I don't even know what it was about. But as we're driving back to our apartment, he puts me out of the car. So mind you, I'm sick, I'm pregnant, and now I'm walking home to my apartment. So again, while I was in it, you don't think of that. You think of like, okay, is he upset? Did I do something? What happened? But now, as you know, when you finally get out of things, you kind of look at different scenarios and you're like, yep, that was it. Yep, that was it. And so I think sometimes it's hard for you to recognize it when you're in it. Until you get out, because I think you probably put like a protective layer up and you just keep on kind of dealing with stuff. So for me, that was one of the defining moments. Like, okay, what man who loves their wife would put them out of the car coming from the hospital and she's pregnant with their child?
Hmm.
Who would do that? You know, who would do that?
Wow, great question. Great answer. Not great answer, but thank you for answering. I'm just thinking that's a great question of who would do that. Who
Right,
would do that when I'm married to you and I'm carrying your child?
right.
Um, would you say that you were mentally or emotionally abused or physically abused or all of the above?
It was all of the above, actually. It was all of the above. You have the verbal assault, calling you out of your name, um, saying things that make you wonder, like, what's wrong with me? Like, okay, did I do something? And of course, you add in, addiction on top of that. And then you have those outbursts, you have things getting broke, things getting thrown, you getting hit, and doing your best to protect your children from that. But at the same time, not doing that at all. You're actually exposing them to a life that they would later have to get repaired because of all the damage that they've seen, they've heard, and things like that.
Wow. Did it ever occur to you to get help? Why or why not?
So, this is the crazy part. I did not grow up in a house of domestic violence. I had a very healthy home. I hardly ever heard my father raise his voice at my mom. My dad would go and work extra jobs to take care of us. My dad was in the military. There were 6 of us. Anybody know anything about the military? You don't get a whole bunch of money, but my dad provided us a safe environment for that. And so I think, and it's funny because I talked to my mom this weekend, like after I was like, okay, we're just going to come out with this and we're just going to, be dealing with it. When you don't grow up in a home that has domestic violence or is abusive, you honestly don't have the tools to deal when somebody does that to you, because you're like, I've never experienced this before. Okay, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. And, and then on top of that, I was married to my pastor's son at the time, so that brings a whole nother set of challenges, because he is a very prominent, official in their organization. Everybody knows them, everybody. And so that brought on in itself a whole different set of challenges, because it's like you put on that mask. When they talk about the mask, I could be an actor on how good my mask was on, and so you think about it, but then you're just like, okay, well, maybe I need to do something different. And one of the biggest challenges for me is I am an innate fixer. Okay. I think I can fix anything. And also, you don't want to, like, when you grow up in an environment where it's healthy and it's, you have this mindset that I'm not going to disappoint my parents, because my parents, until my dad passed away, my parents were together. So for me, I believed in marriage. I believed in my vows. I believed what I said, for better, for worse. I believed all that. But nobody ever told me that there's worse. And then there's, you need to pack your bags and leave, So that was one of those things where I had to come to the realization. And like, as of late recently, I actually emailed my ex-father-in-law, we're still close. We're still, because he's starting to find out more about what happened. But I told him, I said, I just want to give you the heads up because I need to talk about this because this is part of my healing, it's part of my children's healing. But I don't want you to get blindsided because it's not like I've had many husbands. I've had one. Everybody knows, everybody who's connected to me on that side, they know who it is. So it's going to be questions that may be asked of him. And I didn't want him to get blindsided. So I said, listen, this is what's going on. I want to give you the heads up. But this is something I need to do. And it wasn't more so asking for permission. It was just, I'm giving you the heads up because I don't want you to get blindsided by the questions that may come to you about your son, so yeah, so it was very tough. And now, they're starting to learn more things. My mom's starting to learn. So my mom, I had to kind of bring her down off of, I'm like, no, you're not bringing out, you're not bringing out Betty, and she ain't putting no cap in nobody. So we just gonna, bring that on down, because the bottom line is it doesn't matter how old I am, I'm still her child, and when you see your child hurt, it's like, I'm sorry, who are you? Yes, we can forget your name. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. For those of you who are tuning in, the numbers we have up here, 1-800-799-SAFE, which is also 7233 is the domestic violence hotline. We also have the text number, if my team can put that up there. Thank you. Text START, START, all caps, to 88788. We just want to give this information out to you. You can also go to, you can Google domestic violence hotline. I thought I had the link, but we don't have it. If the team can get it, that would be great. Now on there is a protective screen that comes up that says how you can immediately exit and not have the cookies or anything following you. There's a red box on that page. Make sure you click that box if you feel that you need to hurry up and get out the screen. It'll automatically take you out and it will erase all the cookies immediately. We just want to keep you safe. So with that being said, Nawanda, can I ask you a couple more questions? Do we have time? Because I do see some private messages coming in. So we will get you, because we know this is personal. We know this is private. Wow, why am I getting emotional here? When I'm seeing these private messages of people, these young girls asking these questions, I'm like, wow, I'm glad they're tuning in. Some are coming in from YouTube, but to come back to this, Nawanda, if I can ask a couple more questions, because we do have a few private questions coming in. Did your ex portray himself to be one way with you and another way with other people? And did other people recognize that he may be an abuser?
Oh, absolutely. Again, the mask, in public, where good people loved him, being around family. And it's one of those things where I was so good at wearing the mask. Nobody knew, nobody. Even to this day, people I was close with, once I put that one post up about domestic violence awareness, when I kind of, talking back to my 22-year-old self and things, people who were close to me were like, I never knew. I never knew, and that's how well I hit it. And so it was one of those things where, and again, I'm the care, I'm the fixer. I got to make sure when we go out in public, our family looks put together. Our family looks good, Don't worry about what's going on behind my doors. We out here now. We're here, and so absolutely. But so was I, because, I put on that mask of, hey, I'm the happy wife and everything's good. This is me and my beautiful children, my husband. That's what you did,
Wow. My sister did share, and I did not want to reveal her story because it's her story, but she's the one I was speaking of a few minutes ago. And she says, thanks for telling your story. I have been in your shoes mentally, physically, and verbally. It is a bad spot to be in. I haven't had any contact with him, nor do our children. And I can remember some horrific times with her. Yeah, it was hard. I believe, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, her husband kicked her down the steps while pregnant. While pregnant. Kenya saying, right, the black church sometimes encourages folks to stay in an abusive situation when they should go. Also, folks need to stop judging folks that have gone through divorces because they don't know what they have gone through. Case in point, Sister Nawanda Turner. Okay, I'm done. Thank you, Kenya, for saying that. Lori says, thank you so much, Nawanda, for sharing your story. I pray that God will continue to give you peace and covering after sharing your experience. Um, Here's a question from John Gore, which says, did your husband experience this in his household?
So here's the thing. So my husband, his father, absolutely not. So his father and mom were married when they were younger. And so his mom had certain challenges. So they got divorced when he was like 2. So his dad remarried to the lady that he's still with. He grew up with his grandparents, and no, he did not experience that. But his mom, his birth mom, was in traumatic relationships, alcoholism, addiction, abuse. And so he saw that even though he didn't experience it all the time, it was enough that, even though he had a dad who did not do that, grandparents who did not do that, it was he saw enough of it that it carried with him, and then that was also used as the excuse. Well, how my mom, what I experienced with my mom and this and that, and trust me, I definitely get having traumatic situations that do shape the person that you are. But there also comes a time where you have to take accountability for the way your life is going and what you do. Because at 40 something, 30 something, we can no longer say or keep saying as an excuse, well, I grew up in that. I grew up in that. I grew up in that. Because if we know we grow up in something that's not healthy, it's our responsibility to get help, get therapy, so that we can be healthy. Like my daughter had a very impactful post, and the end of it said, I didn't come from a healthy family, but a healthy family will come from me. And for me as a mom, I'm like, yes, because she recognizes at 25 that no, we went through some crap, but I refuse to let that be in my family, and I'm getting the help that I need to be able to be a healthy wife and know the signs to look for and make sure I am, being healthy all around, because that's a hard thing. Because what we're teaching our kids is you're teaching our daughters, like when we stay in that, and I've had to apologize to both of my kids, but you're teaching your daughters that behavior is acceptable, and it's not. And then what you do is teach your sons that when you stay, they don't have to have a level of compassion and a level of treatment for their significant other. They can do whatever they want to do, and she'll still stay. Because that was me, because I was just like, and I think part of me is because I'm such a fighter innately. I was like, I'm fighting for this. This is my marriage. I'm fighting for it. Not understanding it's a losing battle that I'll never win, because you're the only person fighting for something to stand, it's never going to stand. And if that person doesn't want, like, you cannot do that person's work. That's what it comes down to. You can't do that person's work. So my thing is, if you don't want to get help, if you don't want to do your work so you can come back a healthier person, so we can be healthier together, there's nothing I can do there. And I think that's the point I got to, because I'm like, my background is social work. I'm a helping professional no matter what I do. I am a helping person. And so you recognize those signs and you're like, okay, we have some mental health challenges going on here that we need to get addressed, because now you're self-medicating your mental health because you don't want to get help with that. And then that's turning into other things, and that's manifesting in other ways that are toxic and dangerous. You need to get help. If you get help, I'll stand by you, because I understand that mental health. I will stand by you and do what I have to do to support you. But when that person refuses, and that person basically is like, no, I'm not going to do it, you have to be like, okay, I'm choosing me now. I'm choosing me and my kids now, because I can no longer do this. I can no longer do this. And for me, I think the tipping point for me was when my son had graduated high school. All my family was down, and I was so excited because, I knew I was going to be safe around my family. My family was going to be there. And my dad, I had told my dad, some of the things, about the money, how I was having to pay all the bills. I still didn't tell my dad everything, because that's my dad. It's just so, as my dad's baby girl, I'm like, I can't tell him this. This will break his heart. Like, I can't do that. And so, I told him enough that he was like, well, I'll talk to him, about, making sure he helps with the bills, blah, blah, blah. So all my dad told me, he says, let me know, the next 2 pays, let me know what happens. Pay 1 came, nothing. Pay 2 came, nothing. So I told my dad, and then, I confronted my husband, and I said, well, you sat there and cried with my dad, because he put on this big sob story, and my dad was like, well, he was crying. And I was just like, whatever, I don't care, and so then when I confronted him about what he had told my dad, he blatantly told me in my face, I did not tell your dad that. For me, that was the moment where I was like, this fool just lied on my dad. This man just called my dad a liar. My dad ain't never lied to me in all my life. If there was one man on this earth that I trust with my life, it's my dad. Mm-hmm. So you just lied to me, right, and basically called my dad a liar. And so for me, that was like, okay, I'm really done now. And it's crazy that it took that, because you would think, with all the verbal assaults and all that, it was that moment where the man that I trust with my life, you basically looked at me in my face and called him a liar. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. And that's when it started, like, that was the roller coaster, because it fast forward. It was like, I think from that time, 2 months later, it was done. Because I was like, either you pack your stuff and you leave, or I'm packing my stuff and I leave. And you have to get creative too, because for me, he was like, I'm not going anywhere. So mind you, I'm paying all the bills. I'm paying the mortgage. I'm paying everything. So you have to know your options. So for me, it was like, okay, if he's going to stay here, I'm not going to pay the bills. So I called my mortgage company. I said, listen, if I don't, how long will it take for this house to go into foreclosure? They told me to take about 3 months behind. I said, so when you put my house in foreclosure, how long will it before you actually come take my house? They was like, well, it's going to take a year, because, we give you opportunities to, get on a repayment plan, blah, blah, blah. I said, fine. So when he said he wouldn't leave, I said, okay, so I guess you're going to pay the mortgage. He's like, no, you need to pay. I said, I'm not paying nothing. I'm like, you want to stay here? You pay the mortgage. He didn't pay it. I didn't pay it. I'm talking about, when you talk about playing chicken, I was playing chicken, because I was like, I'm done. And so the next month, are you paying the mortgage? No, I'm not paying. Okay, fine. I'm not paying it either. I said, I guess you're going to find yourself somewhere to live. I said, because I done already signed a lease on another place. So if they come take this, I'm good. I don't know what you're going to do. I said, because I'm not paying the bills here. And by July of 2016, he left, like, didn't tell nobody. Like, I don't even think I was in town. All I know is I got a call from my daughter that he had gone, like, all his stuff was gone. He had packed up and he had gone. That day, changed all my locks. And from there, it was just one of those journeys. From there, it was one of those journeys.
Wow. I got up here Demia's comment talking about to Yvonne honoring her courage. And there's others in here saying honoring all of y'all's courage. I'm seeing a lot of you who are this is hard, being very transparent, sharing your story. And there's two in the private chat that are saying that they're dealing with it right now and they're trying to figure out how to get out. So I want to give this number again. That's a number you can call, and make sure you're doing that in a place of safety. And again, on that National Domestic Violence website, it'll give you a warning on how to, it'll say like, come in here, all the cookies and everything will be erased. So if someone comes behind you, they will not be able to see that. So that is a safe site for you to go to, or you can text to this number. You text the word START, all caps, to 88788. And no, y'all, I'm not rushing through here today. The domestic violence hotline is 800-799-SAFE or 7233. Again, that's 800-799-SAFE or 7233. I'm just trying to see if there are any other major questions on here before we sign off. People are saying this is powerful. Thank you for sharing your story. People are saying get that counseling. Kenya is saying this is why good counseling and medication for those who need it is so important on top of prayer. And to be a friend. People are saying this is just powerful. Marion is saying honoring everyone who has been able to walk away. We honor people also, who's doing what they can to fight while they're there. Dropping counselor names, Eric Currents, Shantae Meadows, Kiana Stewart. John Gore said, yeah, come on, choose you. There's so much here. We'll let you go through and read this. People are saying, thank you for your bravery. This is so important. So we do have one more question that you and I talked about that we wanted to make sure we asked while we were on the air. And that is, what are some signs to look out for that can easily be overlooked?
Yeah. So that was one thing like I've thought about, since I'm out of it. If you have somebody, like if you're very close to your family, because me and my family, and even now, like y'all, the people who were at you saw my whole family there. Like my family is tight knit. Okay.
Yes,
if you find that person, you're used to going, like we're used to going for, graduations. We didn't miss, like we had a pact with us. We were not missing nobody's high school graduation. We were all there. It didn't matter where we were at, from me to the baby, and there's a 9-year gap, so during that time, some of us then had kids, got married. If you have somebody who puts up a fight when you want to go to your family's gatherings and they don't want to go, that's a red flag. Because what they're trying to do is control the narrative, because they know they cannot be their abusive self around your family or around that community of safety. When they do stuff like that, or when they really try to control your every move or your time and space. I remember, because for me, this weight loss journey, I've been up and down, up and down, up and down. I remember there was one time that I was like hitting it. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was hitting it. I was told that I was being selfish by going to the gym every single day at 4:30 in the morning. You're being selfish. But I'm trying to make me better so I could be better for y'all. But I was selfish. Before I went into contracting, I had proposed it to my ex. I was like, what do you feel about me going into contracting? Because anybody who knows contracting full time, you're going to make more money in contracting doing the same exact work. And I wasn't going to do it until my son graduated high school, because I am a very present parent for, events, activities, whatever. The response I got was, you would leave me home every week by myself? And I was just like, okay. And I didn't even know how to answer that, because I was just like, but you're a grown man. You know, that you're a grown man. You know, I don't get it, you know? And so the one thing for me is that I've taken my power back, because even when you get out of the abuse, when you don't talk about it, you're still giving them power, because they're like, oh, you're not going to say nothing because you don't want to be embarrassed and people are going to look at you crazy. Like, how could you do that? Trust me, you don't ever say what you would never do in a relate. Because I was that chick. I would never, if he ever put his hands on me, or if I would never, never, never. Don't say that, because you don't know what you're going to do until you're in it. And so what I will say to people who have gotten the strength to get out, tell your story, because I wish I had heard somebody's story when I was going through it, because maybe I wouldn't have stayed in it as long as I did. It's like we reclaim our power by being transparent about it. Yes, was it a dark time in my life? Absolutely. But it has made me who I am. And I've gotten so many calls, just like you're getting inboxes. I've gotten so many calls and messages like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you got out, because I'm still in it and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And, you know, or your story, that could be me. I'm just not ready to talk about it, but I'm so glad you're talking about it. I mean, so you just never know what strength you may give to somebody who just needs to know that, baby girl, you're going to be okay. You can do it. Because, you know, a lot of times they'll make you think that you ain't going to be nothing without me, or they're going to look at you. How they going to look at you? You married to a pastor's son and then you get divorced, you know? You know, you don't need, or this one, you don't even believe in divorce, because I didn't. That was not something that I subscribe to, you know? And so they will use those things to help keep you in that situation and use your own narrative against you. But what I will say is, if you've gotten out, and when you get the strength, like, get help, because I see a therapist every week. Trust me, like, honey, yes, we talk about it all. And the thing about it is when you've been in an abusive relationship, you have post-traumatic stress disorder. You have that, you know, and so how you react to a lot of things and what you do, you have to get help processing all of that. But sharing is cleansing. Sharing is healing. And it's not, and honestly, and like I told my father-in-law, it's not to bash my ex, because that's not even the purpose, because you're gonna have to answer to what you did. Like, you're gonna have to answer that between you and God. That's on you. But there are so many women and children who who need to know that their life after, it's going to be okay. Because I, like, my prayer that I prayed when I was ready to just tap out, I told God, I said, if I get the strength to get out of this, you have to make sure me and my kids are okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to struggle financially. I want to make sure I still can pay for both of them to finish college, because it's not their fault. So for me as a mom, I'm like, I don't want them to struggle because I made a bad decision, you know? I mean, because that's just some transparency there, because you have other people involved. But I prayed, I said, God, if I can get the strength to do this, you have to make sure that me and my kids are okay. Amen. And when I tell you, God was like, it's almost like immediately, as soon as I was like, oh, done. 3 months later, that's when I went into contracting. I was able to make sure both of my children got through college. And it's been, you know, it hasn't been all roses, because I'm still dealing with stuff daily, you know, seeing stuff, turning stuff around. But when I tell you, choosing me and my children has been the best thing I could ever do with my life. It's like, you know, and you have to be okay with the failure, because that was me. I didn't want to fail at my marriage. Like, that was failure. But let me tell you something, failure is part of life.
Yeah.
Long as you get back up, baby, let me tell you, it is okay. Because for me, my 50-year-old self, like when I had put that post about the conversation I would have with my 22-year-old self, honey, my 50-year-old self was like, baby, let's go. You
I
know,
love
you
it.
failed at that, but honey, you were supposed to, some stuff you're supposed to fail at. Okay.
Right.
Some stuff you need to fail at, and you need to understand that that's part of the process, and you have to be okay with failure. Oh, I failed
Yeah.
at that.
I got you, girl. We're gonna have you get that book out there for sure, because you have so much to share. For those of you who are just tuning in, you want to just hit the replay. This is going to be up ongoing. I do see one. I want to just say I see you, Yvonne. Yvonne said I had a gun held to my head. If I can't have you, no one else can. After he climbed in the basement window, after she changed the locks, people are just saying thank you. Thank you, Demia, for talking about isolation and posting in here. Y'all, there's so much in here. Wow, there's so much in here. I can't go through all of these, but this thread will remain. People are talking about relationship difficulty. I see Danielle. That was her story. People are just really saying thank you for sharing. Wow, this is a lot. I see, ooh, okay, I need the prayer warriors to pray. Um, yeah, I need some of y'all to really pray. Of course, I won't give the names. Um, I need some of y'all to pray. I need some of y'all to pray while we're still on here. Um, a person saying she's tried to get out a few times, but um, because of being threatened, she remains. Yeah, so we need to pray. And if you have strength to contact the number, I'll put the number up here again. I know my team has left. They had to go to work. I got it. I put the number up here. And if you have a cell phone, you can text this number. Marion, can you put that up again so I can put them side by side if you're still on here, Marion? But that's 800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or 7233 is the hotline. Or you can text to this number, text the word START, all caps, to 88788. Our sponsor for today is Latrice Jones, Paparazzi Luxurious Life. She is our sponsor for today. Marion did have the number up here earlier. I don't see it now, but they're back to back. She may had to have left as well for work. But we'll keep these numbers up here. We'll make sure we'll put them in the chat as well. But if I can get some people to pray for this one particular, really for several people, but this one particular person, she says she's just really petrified. She's petrified for her 3-month-old as well. So, yeah. So if we can just pray, let's pray, and then I will. Thank you, Marion. I see it. So here's the numbers side by side. They're up here. Again, 800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or 7233, or text START, START, all caps, to 88788. If you go to the domestic violence website, they'll tell you that that's a private website. And there's an immediate X on the top right-hand corner if you want to exit. I went through all of that over the weekend to make sure I was able to get all that information right for you. But I want to pray for this person. And my inspirational message, if there's one behind this, is that you matter. No matter what your situation or circumstances may be, you matter. You matter. You matter. You matter. You matter. And for that person with the 3-month-old, please seek safety. Please, 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 I'm begging you, seek safety. All right, let's pray, and then we're out of here. God, we thank you. We honor you. We bless your name. God, we know that you already know who's struggling today, who's being abused today, who is wrestling with leaving, or even have the finances or the resources or the transportation to leave. God, we know sometimes people are in isolation and they don't have an answer and they don't know where to go. But God, I'm asking your Holy Spirit presence to to fall fresh upon these people. And God, we know it's not all women. We know it's men as well. Oh God, do what you do and make safety the number one thing today for everyone who may be um, dealing with domestic violence today. God, renew their minds. God, be in their mental state. God, let them know that those are lies that are being spoken to them. God, give them your supernatural strength, give them resources, and give them the brilliancy to figure out how to escape, how to get out. God, may they go to safety. God, may they be willing to share their name with Nawanda and others in the hotline so that they can get the answers they need. God, I also pray that the system will work. That the system will work, that there's not hoops they have to jump through, that they don't have to have this, that, or the other, but they can go to safety and work all of that out later. God, we thank you in advance. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So y'all, thank you so much. There was a movie real quick before we sign off. There was a movie that I watched this weekend on Netflix. It's called Made, M-A-D. I understand parts of it is a true story. So you might want to check that. It's a limited series. It's 10 episodes. I was trying to just get enough information as I could before I brought on Nawanda this morning. But y'all, again, thank you, Nawanda, for your vulnerability and for sharing your story, for your strength. I'm so glad that you're still among us and your children are doing well and you're doing well. And God, and we pray that your ex-husband seeks help if he hasn't already done so. And we just pray, we just ask God to bless you in abundance because you are a voice for the people. I love you. Thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
Bye.
And y'all, thank y'all all for hanging out. We was on here today for 1 full hour, but it is what it is. And I wouldn't change this for the world because these stories like these need to get out. If any of you know of any male that has been a victim of domestic violence, please have them contact us. We would love to interview him on News in Motion as well. You all make it a great day. Thank you again, Nawanda. Thank you and bless you.